Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The race is over. We're back in the warm down. It is Dan Flack, Eric Skelly coming to you live and in color. If it's not live, it's Memorex. So, Dan, good to see you, brother. How you been?
I've been great. Enjoying all this fast swimming from Irvine, as well as Commonwealth Games and all that good stuff. This is the time of year where it really starts to get fun, as we're on the precipice of the Pan Packs coming up there. I know the camp is going on and people are getting ready. And, this is the time of year where you get up early and you watch that video and you lift those weights and you do everything you can to bleed out those extra couple hundreds of seconds. So life is good.
Absolutely. Yep. I'm excited. Lots of great swimming with U.S. Nationals. Just got off the road recruiting, going to Futures, different LSE championships, some great swimming across the U.S. and worldwide. Commonwealth Games produced a lot of great performances. We've got the Euro Championships on the horizon as well. We're going to talk Pan Packs. So that's a big one. A lot of names not there, a lot of names not swimming events. But the thing I want to kick off with us right now, it was adopted earlier today. NCAA Division II adopts age-based model. It is a 5-for-5, very similar. I haven't had a chance to break down the verbiage as of yet, but it looks like it's almost identical to the Division I model. What does this mean for college athletics? Well, as we talked with Division I, the 5-for-5 model does not allow for any more red shirts. Those are a thing of the past. Now it is age-based. So, age-based model will mirror the one passed by the Division I cabinet in June. I'm reading verbatim off of SwimSwam and also the ESPN website, meaning student athletes will now have 5 full seasons of eligibility in Division II to be completed within 5 years, with their clock beginning the time of their 19th birthday or full-time college enrollment, whichever comes first. And that is an incredibly important distinction, because you at Division II, and more so as well as the NAIA and to a lesser degree Division I, the clocks are very different. Division II especially, you saw 25-year-old freshmen. It happened. Specifically, they were internationals. It was a huge criticism of Division II for the longest time. But that distinction right there, okay, first full-time enrollment, let's say you enroll and you're 17 years old, your clock starts. You don't get to start when you're 19 years old and later on, whichever's first. So if you're a 25-year-old freshman, you're international, and you're coming over here, you have no eligibility. It is done. If you're a 22-year-old freshman, essentially you have 2 years of eligibility remaining to go to school here in the United States. This is going to be massive at the Division II level. I have not reached out to any of my coaching friends yet at that level, but I got a nasty feeling there's a few schools that are going to be scrambling because they've got kids that they're counting on to come in, and it's not going to happen. This thing is going into effect this fall, and this is going to send a shockwave. Piggybacking off of this, I can speak because I have connections in both Division III and the NAIA. I was in the NAIA for 15 years, so I still got my connections there, and obviously I'm new to Division III. However, I do know that discussions are taking place for both of those organizations to ensure that they are adopting a similar model. Division III, I would almost guess, will mirror D1 and 2 with the age-based model. NAIA is a different animal. They tend to do things a little bit differently when it comes to eligibility. Some good, some not so good, in my opinion. But again, I don't work for them anymore. But I can see the NAIA going this direction as well, and that will have a profound impact on swimming at the NAIA level. For Division III, where the impact really comes into play, isn't so much that, oh, hey, now these kids are going to stay in school for 5 years, but it will allow them to move up to D2, D3, potentially for grad school, especially if you're an institution that does not have a graduate program or a deep graduate program. So if you want to major in physical therapy and your school doesn't offer that. So, example, mine. We don't have a PT school. Now you can go and at least potentially get 1 year of PT school covered, but you're going to have to swim. Now, how you work that with your labs and everything, I don't even want to begin to guess on that. But I think Division III will be, and NEI will be the next ones up on this bandwagon. Dan, we've yet to see how this is going to shake itself out in court. And I know you're just getting this information not much later than I have. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, Division II always used to be an incredibly interesting place in my mind. I loved looking at the results and seeing the names. There were not many John Smiths in the finals or Mary Davises. There were a lot of interesting names with oftentimes it'd be like, wow, that's actually a really fast time for Division II. I wonder how you pronounce that name, because it was a place for older, quite frankly, more folks from out of the country to come and attend school and compete in the United States. And now with this change in clock, it's going to make things a little bit more interesting. And certainly, I believe at the Division II level, which is a wonderful place to swim, you can really have a great collegiate swimming experience at the Division II level. But it's going to force a lot of folks to change the way they've been recruiting and the way they've been building their programs. There's no doubt about that. So like everything else in this sport, when something changes, it'll be like, that'll be interesting to find out what the ripple effects are and how it affects. It could be great for U.S. kids because it could easily open up more spots for them. And again, I can't stress this enough. I've had so many kids just have wonderful experiences in D2, in D3 swimming. It was the perfect spot for them. It's I used to laugh and I would tell kids, just because you're not swimming in the SEC doesn't mean, pardon my life, but doesn't mean you suck. Okay, there's plenty of other great opportunities out there where you can really get a great collegiate swimming team academic experience. So I'm interested to see how it shakes out.
Yeah, I was an athlete at Division II. Went to Ashland University, had a great time there. D2 has always done things a little bit differently. They were the first ones to have a 4-day championship. They're still the only division that has the 1,000 as a championship event, which I love that. What's that?
I'm a big fan of that.
Oh, yeah. They're also
it's an underrated race because for so many folks, it's like the Three Little Bears. The 500, little too short. Mile, a little too long. The 1,000, just right.
I think the 1,000 would have been a great event for me, honestly, except where it's placed in where they put the 500 freestyle. So when I swam, 5 free was day 1, and then the day 3 was 2 fly, 1 back, 1 breast, and now 2 fly 500 are on the same day. I would have had to have chosen on that one. But D2 also has what I love about D2, this is an awesome one. It's still the rule they have. You can swim up to 7 events, 4 of which can be individuals. So you could have a 4-time champion. Now you can only do 3 relays, or you can do 5 and 2, whatever. But D2 is the only one that still does that. They still have the 1,000, but this is going to have a profound effect on a lot of programs I would say in the top 5, top 10. I just texted my former assistant coach, is the head coach at my alma mater, at our alma mater. She actually swam there as well. I said, this is going to balance the equation for you quite a bit. And I think I'm waiting for a response, but I got a feeling she's going to be in agreement on that. But time will tell. It will be very interesting to see how the courts are going to handle this, because that's the biggest one. We're already starting. I think there's some challenges, not involving swimming, but basketball at the Division I level with this model. So, yeah, I think the kids who are currently in school are getting grandfathered in. But, man, it's something that I think the coaches and athletic departments have been screaming for. And as a result of it, now you're seeing some resolution on that. So the next couple months will be interesting to see how it's all going to play out as judges and lawyers are getting involved. I made a crack on a message board. I literally said, man, to have gone to law school and emphasized in sports law right now, so lucrative. God, I would have killed to have been one of Grant House's lawyers right now. Oh my goodness. The only winners in this game are not the athletes or the coaches of the schools, man. It's the attorneys. And I'm not saying that to be negative or positive, but man, whew. But yeah, so this is going to change a lot of things with recruiting. You're going to see some opportunities potentially open up, and anytime there's opportunities that open up at any level, that's a good thing for our sport, especially here in the U.S. But moving on, our next topic: U.S. Nationals taking place in Irvine last week. U.S. Junior Nationals going on in Irvine currently as we speak. The Woollett Aquatics Center, very busy for a little while, and. Man, it was very interesting on Nationals. It was kind of depleted. We didn't see all of our stars doing all of their primary events. We'll talk a little bit more in depth of the ones we did see. Obviously, Kate Douglas, the Walsh sisters. but we have the return of Caeleb Dressel. And yeah, our boy looks good right now, Dan. But on the same time, it's a youth movement in the distance world with Luka Mijatovic and Ryan Erisman. We'll talk a little more in depth on them. And we're seeing some new stars and new faces in women's swimming. And Moesch making a statement in a lot of events. I think most shockingly in her 50 freestyle. We all love Gretchen, we all love Tori, we all love Kate, blah blah blah. Moesch to me, I think, is the next breakout star. But let's talk Caeleb Dressel right now. Wins the 50 and 100 freestyle at nationals. Has, I think, really great 50 and 100 butterfly. You can tell he's still working on closing speed. He's got time on that. I think his move to work with Steve has been a good one. People kind of wrote him off. He had the interview. He said it. He's having fun. This is enjoyable for him. And I think after so many years of putting so much stress on himself, I think we're seeing a new side. Fatherhood definitely agrees with him. I'm sure he's enjoying that as well. But Caeleb's back. What does that mean for the U.S.?
He sure was. It was so refreshing to see him swim because he's been through a lot. You know, in some places, being hailed as the next Michael Phelps, that's no easy task. The second coming of Michael Jordan, no easy task. It was just fantastic to see him just as happy, and you could tell he was thoroughly enjoying himself. Now, you know, marriage and fatherhood changes you, right? And it makes you appreciate some things a little different. And it's great to see that. I love what he and Steve are doing and working on, and how they are really being just really inquisitive of how to get faster. And man, good luck beating that guy to 15. I mean, he's still got that. That's for sure. So it makes the competitions more interesting. Certainly it'll make LA, the drive for LA, more interesting. In theory, it should make the United States a stronger team, a deeper relay action. I think that's what kind of I took out of this whole competition. It's going to be one deep. If things keep trending, we're going to see a lot of new faces at the Olympics in LA, and it's going to be one deep trials, and the battles that will take place to get those spots on the Olympic team. They're always tremendous, but I think some of these races are just shaping up where it's not okay, you know who's going to win. Now it's the battle for second place. It's the battle for between 5, 6, 7 people in so many events as things are popping up to get those spots. So it's going to be exciting. But watching Caeleb race, it just brought joy to my heart, because you could really tell he was enjoying himself. And at the end of the day, don't we all want to just be happy, right? And you know, I thought it was hilarious. He's like first time I've seen a number 1 by my name, you know, kind of bringing out the little kid in him, which is a blast.
And I think too, seeing this resurgence with Caeleb on the national level, I think that's really important for Team USA, because I think when it comes to our medley relay, there's a lot of question marks in a lot of area, and butterfly was one of them. Thomas Heilman, we're going to get a chance to see him, and Dare Rose, who have both represented Team USA with national teams as of late in Caeleb's absence. There's a lot of questions as to whether or not those guys can help fill those shoes. We still got to figure out what's going on with the backstrokers here in the United States after pumping them out for a better part of 3 decades. Van Mathias has kind of established himself in that breaststroke role, which is great for the U.S. And there's never going to be a shortage of sprint freestylers here for USA. Obviously, Ilya Haroun is one who's changing his citizenship right now from Canada to the U.S. He's going to be a player in that event. But where it really gets interesting now, and I don't think a lot of people really understand it, obviously you've been on the junior national level but involved with the national program in general, we're not getting expanded rosters because we get more events. So a lot of those guaranteed real 5th or 6th kids that we've used on relays in the past to take with us to the games, if you finish 5th or 6th in the 100 freestyle or the 200 freestyle, that may not be a guaranteed spot anymore because of those 50s of stroke. And I think people need to be a little cautious when they're swimming in a championship final. If you finish 5th, yay, I'm on the Olympics. Maybe not. You've got to understand that roster, how the roster selection process goes. It may be a day before the full roster is set at Olympic trials in Indianapolis, but I think seeing the resurgence of Caeleb, obviously we got some great racing out of some young stars out there. Two of the biggest names I took away from this Nationals on the men's side for our young stars, Ryan Erisman, Luka Mijatovic, man. But I also want to throw out another name. And I think he got overshadowed in this because those two were beating each other up. William Woollett, swimmer out of Harvard, wins the 1,500 meter freestyle, a race everybody thought Luka was going to run away with. Didn't work out that way. Mulgrew breaks 15 minutes for the first time in his career. I think I heard something crazy like it was a 12-second best time, something bonkers like that. But absolutely crushes it, swam a tactically beautiful race. Erisman, incredible 800 with a negative split, also winning the 200 and the 400 IM. And then the youngster, the age group swimmer, basically, who will be headlining Team USA's Pan Pac, Junior Pan Pac roster, Luka Mijatovic out of Pleasanton, California. I think he's still only 17 years old. There will be supposedly is going to be an early enrollee at Texas, if you believe the rumors. He might be showing up there in January this year. Craziness. But Luka Mijatovic, William Mulgrew, and Ryan Erisman putting on a distance showcase.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. What great races. I want to touch briefly on, I'm glad you brought up the rosters, because it is different now with the 50s. And the very first meet that it really showed was the picking of the junior team. There were not, just because you got second in an event, you were not guaranteed of making the team, which in the past you pretty much were going to. And I saw in a couple instances where I'm not quite sure everybody did their homework on exactly what the rules were for the team, and kind of ended the meet with a couple kids going like, how did they not make that? How are they not on the team? But the way it's picked, it's a little different now with those 50s in there. That changes the way they're picked. So you're exactly right. What traditionally are not guaranteed, those backups, those second place spots and those relay spots, not guaranteed, but they pretty much usually shake out that way. It's not going to be the case this go around. So it just puts more excitement and more tension and stress into the meet. Yes, I'm talking about those, especially on the male side, the distance races, getting, in the 400 freestyle, getting our numbers a little lower, new world junior record out of Mijatovic. I haven't stood out of my chair as a fan and been more pumped for a race. Just an Ali Frazier, toe to toe, battle to battle. Think about, Sugar, I'm dating myself here, but Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, just going at it. Those two guys went at it. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, this is just coming down to the last 50. They're looking at each other and it's just going to come down to the last 50. And both of them had tremendous last 50s, tremendous kicks, but Mijatovic had just a little bit better. But Ryan is going to be a player. I mean, his range from 200 to an incredible negative split to win the 800 and taking the 400 IM, quite a certainly a meet for him. And kudos to Coach Durden and the Cal staff of developing him as a big time player. Now it's going to be again. I can't wait to watch the races. That's the most fun part. I've always been it's about the races, and it's going to be a lot of fun watching those. But I was so excited and had so much fun watching that 400 freestyle in particular.
Yeah, and I think not having the usual stars there, or at least if they were there, they weren't in their full glory, or they hadn't been rested for it for the most part because they're on the Pan Pac roster. You got an opportunity to see some guys stand out. On the men's side, we're talking about them right now. Alexei Avakov out of Indiana, 58 800 breaststroke, big performance out of him. Josh Bay, also out of Indiana, breaststroke U, shout out to Ray Luce and keeping that up. Josh Bay, 207 200 breaststroke, big swim there. Moving over to the men's 200 backstroke, David King, 155, a depleted 200 backstroke, because that was probably the most boring race, because it was David King versus the world in that, but he drops a 155.0. Was almost a full second improvement over his lifetime best. Probably the only event that was, again, he went a personal best. Owen McDonald going 53.4, men's 100 backstroke. 100 back, another lackluster event, which, Dan, that feels really weird to me after I could rattle off my backstroke.
All the
Yeah,
United
I
States
can rattle
was
off my
is dominant.
backstrokers.
Yeah.
The backstrokers of my generation: Ray Carey, okay, or Rick Carey,
Nick Carey.
Rick Carey 84, Burkhoff in 88, Rouse in 92 and 96. Then it was Lenny, and then you had Pearsall, Grievers.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Grievers, Tyler Cleary, Lockheed was in that mix as well, man. And just rattle off names left and right. And then Murphy. So for us to be in this kind of weird situation with our backstroke is kind of bizarre. Maximus Williamson, who laid down a monster 200 IM, personal best, drops 2.5 seconds off of his lifetime best to go 156.4. Again, Todd DeSorbo can't coach men. Really? We're going to do this? Okay, good to know. So, yeah, I think that the future, we're 2 years out. There's still a little bit of a youth movement going on. Switching over to the women, man.
25 flat in the junior meet.
Yep.
In the 50 back.
Yep.
Watch out.
Yep.
Watch out.
I think the women's meet, you got a chance to see some new names. The women's backstroke is going to be insane. Like, I don't know who's making what. I don't even want to guess with the way the U.S. is cracking things out. But to me, one of the stars of the meet has to be Anna Moesch. Has to be. Drops a new American record, 100 freestyle. Drops a huge 200 freestyle. And then ends up popping out. And everybody talks about how bad Gretchen Walsh's start is. Okay, it's not great. All right, her reaction time, she's working on it. Anna Moesch goes 25.05 with not a great reaction time. And everybody says, oh, it's so slow. It was actually faster than Gretchen's, and Gretchen dropped to 23.6 and nearly broke her own world record. You've also got Liberty Clark in there, who went 24.2. Camille Spink, 24.3. The U.S. and sprint women, we've always had a good sprint freestyler for the ladies. We've never had this kind of depth before. Let's put this in perspective for everybody listening. There's a chance Gretchen Walsh doesn't make the U.S. team on a relay if we only take the top 4 in the 100 freestyle. I want everybody to let that sink in, because you have Gretchen Walsh and Anna Moesch, Kate Douglas, who in a time trial just says, my turn. Tori Husk, Riley Erisman. I mean, it's getting to the point where pick one. There's a chance that Gretchen Walsh could be 5th in the 100 freestyle. Do I think that's going to take place? No, but I'm not going to eliminate that. It's surreal to think of where the women are right now, and the Cavalier ladies, the are just, and it's not just the ones that are here in the U.S. You throw Sarah Curtis onto that as well, representing Italy in the incredible performances that she's had. The only thing that really stands out to me right now is, man, we got to find some distance swimmers behind Katie, because she's going to retire eventually. But that brings up Katie Grimes, kind of going a little bit more to her roots, going a season best sub 16 minutes in the mile, probably one of her better performances as of late. Wins the 400 IM and kind of does this all with not even really resting. That's the bizarre part, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she's on the Pan Pac roster for the United States. So her focus is going to be on that race. So yeah, it's the women are looking at the women's 2 free. Moesch 155.0, Erisman 155.8, Maddie Mintenko, who the daughter of Mike Mintenko, Canadian Olympian, and Lindsey Benko, a U.S. gold medalist.
Decent
55.8. What?
Decent genes.
Yeah, the genetics were on her side. Liberty Clark, 156.5. What's really going to be frustrating for the women in the 200 freestyle, you've got all these big names, and Katie Ledecky's is going to be on that relay, because who else you going to trust on that anchor? Yeah,
exactly.
That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah,
and then
watching those races was I'm so excited about the women, because you could kind of see a bunch of folks who aren't necessarily, perhaps right now, household names on the come. You know, watching Anna swim, I loved watching. I watched her underwater thing, and it cracked me up. The underwater of her stroke in the 50. She's the only one out there that is still doing the classic kind of extend and catch, like a beautiful 200-meter freestyle in the 50. You know, everybody else is kind of, more straight arm, kind of thrashing away. And I'm like, oh my word, look at that. Look at that stroke she's using. So pretty cool to see. One of the races that I was blown away with was Soroki in the 100 breast. Who beats Kate Douglas? That doesn't happen very often. Congratulations to my good friend Matt Kretich. And that was just the look on her face was priceless. That, oh my God, me? I won? Wow. What a great breakthrough to be a national champion like that. If you were paying attention, the Vols had a sneaky good meet on both sides. They were
did.
In the finals all over the place with folks. And that was great to see. And just on a total side note, if you're out there as a running a camp or you've got a club or whatever, and you want a big time speaker to come in and or maybe it's not quite as big time as she's going to be, I've had the pleasure to listen to Mackenzie Soroki talk twice at camps, and she's awesome. She does such a good, man. If you're listening to her and you're paying attention and you're not just fired up to go fast and race, well, then you missed out, because she is quite a talented speaker as well. So I just wanted to make that note. I'm not showing any home state bias there, but
not at all. Not at all.
But facts are facts.
Yep. I think that the U.S. Nationals, the one thing that if I'm taking away from U.S. Nationals this year is that not having the big stars there really helped set the stage from some of the younger talent. And it gave people an opportunity to shine that typically would have been overshadowed. And I think that's a good thing for our sport. It gives us a great opportunity to showcase the up-and-comers. I did like in the broadcast, I mean, you and I, we obviously talked on the one podcast about the selection process for the junior Pan Packs, and you're not a fan, I'm not a fan, but one of the things I did really enjoy is that they showcased that 18 and under heat right before the A final. I think that really, man, that puts a spotlight on those kids that they normally would have never had. And I think that was really cool. A couple friends of mine who had kids in those championship finals, I've talked with them and they said just how awesome it was for that to be the first race before the big dog. They were the appetizers before the main course. And I think that's awesome for those kids. And I think the future of U.S. swimming is in good hands. And then we get time trials. Of all things, time trials at U.S. Nationals, something that you rarely ever, I mean, I know they go on, but man, nothing ever exciting comes out of it, except Kate Douglas goes under 52 for the very first time ever. And Alex Walsh goes a casual 440, 400 IM, and then announces, yeah, I'm going to do the 400 IM at Pan Packs. It's to quote Michael Corleone from The Godfather 3, every time I get out, they're trolling me back in. And that's how the 400 IM is with Alex Walsh. So I'm grateful to see that. I think between Gretchen, Emma Wayan, and Katie Grimes, the 400 IM is in great shape. I am pulling for Katie to break Katie Hoff's American record in the 400 IM at Pan Packs. We need somebody under 430. My goodness, we've been starved for that for so long, and I want to see that come from Katie Grimes. But I'd like to see it from Alex Walsh too. I think she's deserving of that with all the time that she's put in. But you got to perform, and you got to lay it out. And I think that pool has proven that it's a fast facility. It's going to be a great environment because we know the SoCal swimming community is a big one, and people are going to show out for Pan Packs. And you've got the reigning world record holder who's going to be in the event with you. So you've got everything is on your side to swim fast. But yeah.
Irvine's a great setup. It's a great setup. They run a great meet. They have the best hospitality in the world, but that's a whole other thing. It's such a great environment there. And you're right. Southern California is a swimming hotbed. There is a ton of swimming in high schools have 50-meter pools out there.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of it's in the culture. And what an exciting place to watch some really potentially fast swimming coming up here in a couple weeks, less than a couple weeks.
Sorry, my mic was muted there. Craziness. Speaking on that, Pan Pacific site sheets were released today, so we got a glimpse of what everybody's entered in. For the people that don't know, the way Pan Pacifics are worked out, you can have like 10 people from your country in an individual event, But if I'm not mistaken, the rules are still as follows. You can have 2 in the championship final. You can have 1 in the console. Or is it 2 in the console now? All right, it is 2 in the console. It used to be only 1. That was a rule back in the early 2000s. It tells you how long it is for me. But this is the first time we've had Pan Packs on U.S. soil in a while. So it's exciting to have that. The U.S. does not typically host major events unless it's the Olympics or they're kind of forced to. We don't. Right. We like traveling apparently, and I think the last time we held short course world championships in the Conseco Fieldhouse back in like 2005 in Indianapolis. Michael Phelps did 1 race and was like, "I'm out, I'm done," or something like that. Maybe it was 2009, but psych sheets are out. I think they showed that Alex Walsh has entered in 8 individual events. That Gretchen and Kate Douglas are in 7 each. They're obviously going to trim that down due to their schedule. There were some notables in the psych sheet. Number 1, Reagan Smith, not in the 200 butterfly. Summer McIntosh has entered in the 2 free, 4 free, 2 fly, and both IMs. And then, let's see here, anything else? Tori Husk has entered in 6 events. Gretchen Walsh has only entered in her core events, 50-100 free and 50-100 fly. So I would anticipate her being on obviously all the relays. Katie Ledecky, 4-8 mile, and Lanny Pallister from Australia, who gave her a great race in the 800 at the World Championships, will be in the 800 and the 1500 against her. China is sending a small team to this event. So on the women's side, it looks like to be a U.S. dominance. On the men's, Sam Short, dominant middle distance and distance freestyler, will not be doing the 200 freestyle, instead focusing on the 4, 8, and 1500 meter freestyles. One significant name not in the psych sheets, Peter Kotze from South Africa, after having a huge performance at the Commonwealth Games, will not be in the backstroke events. That means the top seeds are Shane Cassis in the 50, Will Magdalene in the 100, Jack Aikens in the 200 in those 3 events. And then Shane Cassis entered in the 50 fly, 100 fly, 50 back, and 200 IM. Carson Foster leading the U.S. contingent, 2 fly and both IMs. Interesting that Carson is going the 2 fly route. I think he's starting to embrace that event a little bit more.
He is.
But those are the highlights of the entries right now on both sides. Bobby Fink entered in both 800, 1500, and the 400 IM. Luke Hobson doing the middle distance triple with the 1-2-4, and Jack Alexi 50-100 freestyle for Team USA. So next Wednesday through Saturday, going to be an exciting time for Pan Packs. I think what I'm looking for most of all is obviously not so much where the stars for Team USA are going to be sitting in their individual event, not the Walshes, not Kate Douglas, but that next tier down, that next level of athlete that we're going to be seeing for the U.S. You have Tess Howley and Caroline Bricker. And Alex Shackle, the primary contingent of 200 flyers, representing the U.S. in that. On the men's side, Luka Orlando, coming off of injury and looks like he had a good swim at Nationals, is the top seed in the 200 butterfly. But Carson Foster,
to see him back in the water.
Absolutely.
What a talent, a great person. Good to see him back doing his thing.
Yeah, and with those athletes, man, it really just comes down to seeing where their progress is 2 years out from the Olympics. But I'm excited to see exactly how the U.S. is going to respond. We had a good World Championships, but there's a lot of question marks. I think we came out of that one. I think people were really questioning Team USA's how serious they took it. At least that was the chatter. I just think this is a different generation of athletes. So it's just a different ballgame.
Yeah. And having been part of a couple Pan Packs at the junior level, it's just it's a fun vibe, right? At that meet, just outside the competition, everybody kind of gets along. Hopefully that's still the case this year, but everybody in this sphere of the world kind of gets along, lots of interaction. And I always found that this is the meet that sometimes kind of reshuffles the deck going into the trials of all of a sudden, wow, look at this and people popping up. And it's a big competition, no doubt. And there's great competition there, but it's not the pressure of a trials. So I've always found it interesting, thriving at Pan Packs is one thing. Thriving at the United States Olympic trials, whole different animal. So pressure packed are the trials, Whereas this is a much more fun, a little bit more fun vibe. But I'm excited. I am curious to see how some of the folks who've been entered in multiple events, handle that as the meet goes on, because it is a long meet and it should be exciting. But I just think it's great that it's here in the United States, especially since the Olympics are going to be here as well. I think it's great, and Irvine, it's going to be an exciting meet. I am very curious to see who comes out of this meet going, "Whoa, you are in a different tax bracket now. You are viewed differently based on your performance," because it's going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you hit it on the head. This is definitely a lower pressure environment. So Team USA in many ways has an opportunity to showcase some people and get some opportunities, and to do it in an environment where the stakes aren't incredibly high, and it allows athletes to kind of try some new things and try experimenting a little bit with some race strategy. Not too much, obviously. You're not going to see Katie Ledecky try to negative split somebody, that's for sure. But it definitely creates opportunities. I'm just looking at the women's 50 freestyle right now. The top 4 seeds: Gretchen Walsh, Kate Douglas, Simone Manuel, and Tori Husk, with Claire Curzan sitting 5th behind Meg Harris from Australia. So yeah, it's going to be a wild ride to see all these athletes competing, and what choices they're going to have to make with their lineup for this. But this is a little bit of a dress rehearsal for Team USA and getting ready for the next couple of years, as they're going to have to get. We're deep into their quads right now in terms of training cycles and figuring out what's going to be best strategy. We technically do not know what the trials order of events are right now, but chances are it's going to mirror whatever's at the Olympics. But even at the Olympics, it's a little different than we've had in the past, where swimming has always been traditionally the first week of competition starting. Now we're starting pretty much the second week, so they can have the pool in SoFi Stadium. So yeah, it's there's a lot of X factors that are going to go into what the athletes are able to do. And I think this is the first step for the U.S. in terms of their preparation for 2028. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's the first time we're going to get to see a lot of these athletes really do a rested championship. The only thing that really disappoints me about this whole thing, and I'm sure you saw the story, Claire Weinstein had to withdraw from the meet as she's had to deal with viral meningitis. Incredibly just heartbreaking to hear, but I'm glad to see that she's on a road to recovery right now. And I know it was on another podcast, Unfiltered Waters, with Katie Hoff. She interviewed Greg Meehan a little earlier, I think probably about a week or so ago, but now it finally hit the air, talking about how we're progressing through this quad and the importance of getting our athletes prepared. I'm looking forward to listening to it in its entirety, and so we may be able to talk about that. Greg Meehan, obviously national team director for Team USA. It'll give us some insight into where we're going with the sport here in the United States. But yeah. Just looking, I'm going through the psych sheet right now, and just some crazy things going on. I can't wait to watch Sam Short and Bobby Fink beating each other up, man. That's going to be a blast. And then obviously Pallister and Ledecky has already been a great showcase. But it looks like a strong U.S. contingent going there. The Australians sending a good roster. They did have a few notable scratches, but it looks like overall a good contingent. Also the Canadians. So it should be a fun meet.
No Liendo for Canada, correct?
I do not believe so. Let me swing up here real quick. All right. Thankfully, Team USA, or they put this out with everybody's roster. I don't believe he is.
I thought he was focusing on Commonwealth.
No Liendo. Correct. Yes. You are correct, sir.
So every meet has its own little interesting quirks. 2 things that strike me about this competition. A, the way the team for the United States was selected. It's not a situation where, you swim the meet, then 2 weeks, 10 days later, to qualify, 2 weeks, 10 days later, boom, you're at the big competition. There's a much bigger lead up time this go around. And it's different. It's just different for the United States because of how deep we are. You rattled off those 4 names in the 50. To make the final, they can't mess around in the morning. Whereas with it, not being the whole world here, a limited amount of countries, I'm not saying you can mess around, but there's not quite that morning pressure to be the representative of some of the other countries where you read out those four names, four studs, two spots. Let's race.
Yep.
It puts a different spin on it for the United States. I think it's a good thing because because you got, come the Olympics, you have to be battle tested and be able to go through session after session after session in many of the races.
Yeah, and the selection process for the U.S. for this meet, I'm going to go on the record. I hate it. And here's the reason why I hate it. The American record holder in the women's 100 freestyle is not going to be on this roster. And when Claire Weinstein dropped out of the meet, everybody's like, all right, Anna Moesch goes in. No, there's criteria, and that criteria has to be followed, and she wasn't on it. We select these things out so far in advance. I think it was, God, when was it?
Things change. Things change.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago. Coleman Stewart, I don't know if he broke the world. Was it the world record? Broke the world record in the short course 100 backstroke, but couldn't compete at short course world championships. So, and that was one thing I do remember hearing during the interview with Greg Meehan by Katie Hoff. We will be doing a short course world trials. So whereas in the past we've always selected selected competitors based off of long course meets, which that's a different animal.
Didn't make much sense.
Yeah,
different
and
sports.
I'll give you, this is an older example, but it's a great example. Back in the 90s, especially in yards, there was a great backstroker out of Stanford, Brian Rederer. Man, he was underwater before it was a thing. He was a definitely pushing the 15-meter mark in the 200 and the 100 in both short course yards and short course meters. So the 96 trials rolled around. I believe he was fourth in the 100 backstroke at trials. Okay, so still great. But his short course meters, he was untouchable. He was better than any of the other backstrokers for the U.S. So it's just, and we've all known great short course meter swimmers worldwide. Mark Foster from Great Britain, my God. He was a good long course 50 freestyler. He was a elite short course 50 freestyler. Man, that dude knew how to race short course 50 free. And for us to have those trials for those events, I think that's a step in the right direction. I think Team USA, Greg Meehan, his staff need to reevaluate the selection process for things like pan packs. Obviously, you and I have had conversations already on how junior pan packs were selected, but yeah, I think we need to do some overhauling. I know that's not going to get done in the next 2 years. I'm hoping for the next 6 years, though. When we start looking into our next quad from 28 to 32, those are the conversations that Team USA and USA Swimming as a whole starts to have. I think that's what we need for us to have our best rosters there. All right, I'm going to say something that's going to sound incredibly critical. I don't want, and it's going to pile on haters. And for the record, I'm not a hater. Michael Andrew is on the Pan Pac team, but he hasn't put up those kind of performances in over a year. Now he had a good showing at long course nationals recently, but he's seated in there with the American record 100 breaststroke, former American record holder in the 100 breast before Van Mathias broke it. I'd rather see an Alexei Yanikov, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'd rather see him in that spot than Michael Andrew personally. Again, I'm not being a hater. I'm just being realistic.
Again, people are different. Results are different. That's too long. It's too long. It just is. It just
Agreed,
is.
wholeheartedly.
It's too long to put your truly best people at that moment in the competition. And there's smart people are going to figure that out, and hopefully they change it.
Agreed. We can only hope. I'm excited for it. Kicking off next week, August 12th through the 15th or 16th. I'm gonna lose my mind. It's through next. Let me say this: it's through next Saturday. I do know that. So it will be through. It is the Wednesday through 12th through the 15th, Irvine, California. And this will be the last major long course meet of the season. And then the college season is just around the corner. A lot of our athletes are heading back to school soon. Move-in day for a lot of teams will be soon enough. And we can start talking about, bathtub swimming again, as the people from down under like to refer to it. Bathtub swimming. Yeah. Okay.
I had the pleasure of moving in a college senior today into their new apartment as he gets ready for his journey into his final year of school. So yes, college swimming right around the corner. But we got to finish off this long course season with a bang. Let's go, United States. Let's do it up.
Absolutely. And next time on the show, we'll kind of recap. Well, actually, if we're doing this next Tuesday, we're going to be doing a preview pretty much for Pan Pacs, but also we've got Euro Championships that are around the corner as well. Euro Championships.
We'll be talking about junior nationals as well. Very fast swimming out there.
Yep.
Very fast, very deep. Exciting to see.
Yes.
I'm always curious to see how people manage doing nationals and juniors. You know, that's a long time to be out there at a swim meet. But some folks are pulling it off great. Others are struggling. It's always exciting to see that. But there's been a lot of fast swimming by the future of the United States.
Agreed.
At juniors as well.
Yep. Euro Championships will be going on August 10th through the 16th. They will be in Paris, France at the Olympic Aquatics Center. There's going to be some great racing shaping up, to say the least. Leon Marchand, Hubert Koch, as well as a slew of others that will be competing at that meet. So, well, Dan, they're kicking us out of the warm down pool. I guess the coaches all want to go home. Signing off for this week, Eric Skelly, my partner in crime, Dan Flack. Have a great one, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.